Welcome back.
Yep, and we're moving into our first segment for the morning, and like we rightly mentioned earlier, healthy eating and then again on a budget, which is very dear to us. We know how it is here in our country. In with us actually to talk to us about it is nutritionist at the Belize Healthcare Partners, Doris Sutherland. Good morning, it's so nice to see you and welcome.
Thank you. Good morning once again.
I hope you're enjoying the weather.
Yes, it was very chilly this morning when I stepped out.
Healthy eating on a budget. Dear to us, reason being is because that's where everybody wants to go. The trend right now, you'll see a lot of people going out there, working out, doing what they have to do because they want to live healthy. But at the same time, we do work out, but we don't watch what we put in our mouth. We don't watch what we put in our temple. Talk to us about it. Is it expensive or not, as it say here, healthy eating on a budget? Does our budget actually allows us to eat healthy?
Okay, well, you're right on what you mentioned. Many of us feel forced to choose between something that is healthy and also something that is more affordable.
Yeah.
Most of us would think that eating healthy would require having a bigger expense. However, this is not so. Yes, making meal plans, going to the grocery store does have its challenges, especially when we want to lose weight. For example, we would go normally to the aisle that says low-fat products, low sugar products, and those things tend to be more expensive than the original products. However, the good thing is that we do not need to purchase those products in order to eat healthy.
Doris, can we step back a bit and talk about what constitutes a healthy lifestyle? Exercise we know is important, but if you were to say, even in a percentage format, how important is what we eat in maintaining a healthy body?
In order to maintain a healthy body
Or lose weight.
or
whichever.
lose weight or whatever goal we may have, what we eat is 70% of our goal. Exercise is basically only 30%. Because even though we exercise and we're losing the weight, what we're putting in has a very big effect on our goal as well. So if we do not cut down on what we eat, we will lose weight. However, we will reach a point where our weight does not go down because we're not controlling our intake.
70%.
So food is very important. 70%.
Wow. So it doesn't matter how many hours you spend in the gym. If you're gonna go home and eat a fried chicken afterwards,
You put it all back.
yeah, or drink a soft drink 2 times a day. Yeah. Now, in your line of work, you have to meet people usually when they're already in crisis, like they're sick about something, diabetes, hypertension, or any form of recovery, and you have to educate them on how to eat healthy. What do you find to be the biggest misconception that people have that you just wish all of Belize would start to learn more to change their minds about it?
Okay. Yeah, the biggest misconception that I see over and over is that they tend to skip meals. They think that eating less or going completely low carbs, going completely low fat, and not having breakfast, not eating before 6 a.m. is what is one of the causes of the weight gain or uncontrolled diabetes or uncontrolled blood pressure. So it's not only knowing what to eat, but being very important with the times of the day. We do need to have breakfast, we do need to have our lunch, we do need to eat at night and not necessarily before 6, and we do need to have healthy snacks.
Now, I would like for us to dive more into it because you just captured a lot of people there by saying that. Reason being is because for a lot of people, the trend is, you know what, I might miss breakfast. I'll have one big lunch at 12, but I won't eat in the evening. Why should you have these 3 meals?
Okay. The importance of breakfast is basically, as the word says, to break the fast. We need to have a very complete breakfast. It should be the biggest meal of the day, because if we only go and have a regular coffee and toast, we would eat more at lunchtime. If we don't have an adequate lunch, we tend to eat more at night, and then that affects the weight because we go to sleep immediately after. So if you have a large breakfast in the morning, that brings down the cravings of wanting to eat unhealthy stuff throughout the day. So breakfast is still the big main meal of the day.
And you also captured in what you said some of the very common dieting practices, which is, okay, I need to lose weight, I'm gonna cut carbs, no rice, no bread, no pasta, or I'm going to increase my protein, all meat, vegetables, bacon and coffee with butter. So there's so many different ways that people just dive right in and say they want to lose weight. What happens when you eliminate a food group? And let's talk specifically about carbs, because that usually tends to be enemy number one for people.
Yes, when you eliminate a food group, you deprive your body from a lot of nutrients, especially if it's something you want to achieve overnight.
Yeah.
It's okay to cut down on the carbs, especially in the nighttime, because carbs are enemy at nighttime, but you need to have it in the morning and you need to have it at lunch. Okay? It's just knowing exactly at what time of the day to have a higher protein intake, at what time of the day to have a higher carbs intake. But you don't want to go completely eliminate any food group.
Increasing protein, the keto diet, which is also very popular, increasing protein of fat. What does that do to the body?
Increasing protein is okay and healthy if you're working out. But working out, doing muscle workouts, doing strength training, working out at least more than 30 minutes for the day, then you can safely increase your protein intake. The fat, well, our body is not, let's say, used to all that fat intake. So if you start to increase your fat intake immediately after, then you don't only increase the cholesterol, but increase your risk of stroke and heart disease. Okay, so going from a low fat to a high fat protein diet also has its steps. Okay, so you don't want to go too fast, especially if you're a person that is sedentary and it's not doing any type of exercise.
I don't know if you guys
just
have...
one more question.
Sure.
Just what about this whole concept of dieting? When we say diet, technically, definition alone, it's just what we eat.
Yes.
But when we say diet in the regular world, it's when you choose to eat, not eat something, eat less, eat more, whatever. Why, and there are more and more studies that just say don't diet. But why is that? What happens in the body? Why is there this rapid weight gain when you stop whatever diet you choose?
Yes, especially when you go through very restrictive diets, you can regain the weight if you stop. Especially if you go through intermittent fasting, which is very common right now as well. If you start to restrict foods, basically you will probably only be able to do this for the first week or 2 weeks. And then eventually you start to eat everything that you used to eat before that. So you will gain back the weight, even if you exercise. So it's very important that you learn how to eat, because if you don't learn how to eat, then all those healthy habits will never be. So,
I like the fact that you say learn how to eat. But Doris, one of the things that we've heard, and I'm not sure if you've heard it before, people would tell you, my grandfather and my grandfather before that, who lived to 90 something years old, used to ingest lard.
Pigtail.
Pigtail. And that was to them their diet. This is actually what they ate. And they lived a long life, healthy lifestyle. Is ingesting lard or fat like that, is that a healthy way to live?
right now, I would say no. Maybe back then, because we were a little bit more active, we were more dependent on healthier sources of protein. But right now, we are more exposed to unhealthy forms of preparation. We tend to not only use lard in one form of meal, we tend to want to use it at least 3 times a day. So right now, I would say no. And then with the rapid increase of diseases, starting from childhood all the way up to adulthood, it wouldn't be a very good recommendation.
And they did more manual labor. They didn't have cars. They had to walk.
They had to walk.
Yeah. How much do we walk just to the corner store? Ask yourself that question. Okay, so I want to get to the topic because this is really, I think, a big barrier for people. And, you know, oftentimes you hear people say, oh, well, you know, you have all this fresh produce at the market. Yeah. Can you eat healthy for the same price that you have the unhealthy, affordable options? If I have $10 to buy, not even $10, you buy what, a $5 chicken? Mm-hmm. It's fast, it's easy, and I'm full. Yes. Can I get a healthy meal in the same price?
But the clue there is that you'd have to prepare it at home, because most of the time we can have a healthy meal at a cheaper budget when we prepare it at home and feed up to 4 or 5 people. In regards to going to the restaurant and buying a plate of food which you can only feed 1 or 2. The most important thing is to plan your meals ahead of time and then make a list of what you want to buy at the grocery store. But you may only want to buy what you want for that week, meaning that what you can consume for only that week. You don't want to overbuy stuff, especially when it comes to foods that can perish very easily, like vegetables, fruits, and meats. So you want to get what you consume only for that week. And then if you find that there is something that is left over, you want to try to include that in different forms of preparation so as not to reduce the waste as well.
You know, I could see folks looking at the TV and wondering to themselves, what is a cheap breakfast that I could do at home, a cheap lunch and a cheap supper, or on a budget? What do we have there?
Okay. When it comes to breakfast, eggs are relatively cheap. You would find a lot of patients that would say, okay, I need to have wheat bread, but I can't afford the wheat bread, so they would buy the white. It's okay to have the white bread, just not every day. You can do
And how much of the bread you have. That's
and how
the
much
issue.
of the bread.
Yeah, 1 slice, 2 slice, 3 slice, 5, what?
The good thing is that when we have wheat products, we tend to eat a little bit less and still get full longer. In regards to having white bread, we want to have 4 or 6 slices in order to achieve the sensitive of being full. When it comes to fruits, where there are cheaper fruits as well, and then if you buy fruits that are in season, they don't only have a better nutritional value and taste, but they're also less in cost.
Yeah.
Could be bananas, oranges. You don't need to go for fruits that are imported.
I want to step back to the egg conversation because this is one of those things, you know, science and especially Google. Google really confuses you all the time. If you look something up, all these people saying good, all these people saying bad. And for a long time, people stayed away from eggs because they were worried about the cholesterol. From your perspective as a nutritionist, can we consume eggs? How do you ensure that you're keeping your cholesterol down, but still eating healthy?
The cholesterol is mostly found in the yellow part of the egg, in the egg yolk. So consuming egg whites would be a different alternative if you have high cholesterol or you're at risk of high cholesterol. You can do different things with just the egg whites. Also, the way you prepare it, you don't want to be frying egg all the time. Boiled eggs are a better option than just having regular fried eggs.
Okay. Now, let's step back to, it starts, as you said, in planning, right? So what you want people to do is to decide what you want to eat for the rest of the week, what you're going to prepare. Now, going into the grocery store, and now we see more and more that people do have health food sections in their grocery store. You tend to want to gravitate there first. And then the prices. So how do we go to the grocery store and buy healthier products efficiently?
Okay, yeah, you don't necessarily need to buy the more expensive products, for example, the quinoa, the buckwheat oats, and all of those. If you find that you can incorporate them, you can afford them, that's okay. But there are other alternatives as well. You can have the regular brown rice. You can buy your own wheat flour and make your own wheat products. You don't necessarily need to go for the expensive section of the supermarket.
Yeah.
And then when you make your list of what you want to buy, you want to try to stick to that list as much as you can. It's very easy to get sidetracked. And then you tend to go and buy expensive stuff and unintended stuff when you do those purchases.
So I like what you're saying. We don't have to buy buckwheat or quinoa. So I could get brown rice. When you talk about oatmeal, for example, do I have to get special, healthy food oatmeal, or is our regular everyday oats that we used to eat okay?
Yes, the regular oats is okay. They have cheaper brands. Okay, you just need to look around. However, I always try to recommend the natural oats, not the instant oats. Normally, the instant oats, they carry a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
Once they have flavoring,
Yeah, they have flavoring, and then those that say cook in 2 minutes, 5 minutes, those have a lot of sugar in them.
Really?
So if you have diabetes, you want to stay away from instant oats.
Yeah.
So go more for the natural ones in the clear bags.
You know, it's so funny we're discussing, especially when it comes to flour. And I could remember my childhood days growing up, all the way in PG. We used to have flour lab on a daily basis. That was actually something we had to have, flour lab. And we know now that what flour can do to you. But sticking with the topic here of healthy eating on a budget, $5, $5 times 5 is 25. We're talking here the fried chicken because this is what some folks get for $5. So that's $25 already for the day. Within the week span, the 5-day span, with $25, am I able to go to the market and get exactly these things that you're talking about, and I could prepare them myself without that fat or that oil? Is this possible for the family? Because we're looking at this, we're listening to this, and we're thinking to ourselves, my gosh, if I buy so and so, this is going to be $13. 13 out of 25, that will left you like $12. You know, so and how do we stretch this for the week?
Yes, when you go to the market and you buy the vegetables, you don't need to buy every vegetable that you see. We have this very common need to want to get a broccoli, all the tomatoes, cucumbers, lettuce, and then we store that in the refrigerator, and then all of that tends to spoil because we are not able to eat that through the week. So you go and you buy what you know you can have for the week. For example, this week I will only do cucumbers, lettuce. The following week I will do broccoli and the cabbage. Then the following week you choose another two, and the same thing with the fruits. And then you will find that with just the vegetables you'll be spending nothing more than $5.
Yeah.
The same thing with the fruits. The most important or the most expensive part of the meal is the meat.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we buy expensive pork, expensive beef, that is where most of our budget goes.
Yeah.
But we don't always have to do expensive proteins. Okay, there are other sources of proteins that we can consume. Okay, like beans, all sorts of beans, lentils, chickpeas, red beans, black beans, also seeds, nuts. Okay, those are other sources of protein. Going more to a vegetarian diet, I'm not saying it's something you need to do every day, but especially if you're someone that's limiting in cost, you could probably practice that at least 2 or 3 times a week.
So beans is good. If you eat beans, beans.
If you have beans, if you have rice, and you have a good portion of vegetables, you can
That's a complete
achieve
meal.
the requirements of protein, carbs, and fats in one plate.
So eliminating bread and tortilla for corn tortilla, flour tortilla to corn tortilla. Is this a good thing for the family?
Yes, it's a good thing, but also the amount is important.
So you don't have full license to eat as many tortillas as you want.
Now, actually, eating one slice of wheat bread or white bread is the same thing as eating 2 corn tortillas. So if we switch from bread to corn tortillas, but we eat 10, it's like eating 5 slices of bread. So we have to be careful when choosing what we are going to change for and how much we're going to have.
See, that's what happens. We get confused as to what's healthier. You think it's thinner, it's less, and
It's corn,
but it still has the same calories.
And then you did mention that the most important thing in the meal is actually the meat. Now, let's go back to budget, and we talk here luncheon meat or chopped ham or salami or because bologna, and not to forget Mr. Corned Beef, which people find as a regular part of their diet, rice and corned beef. Now, talk to us about that, because when we talk about the budget, some folks might say, hey, we'll just go on these canned meats, because then we could actually just cut piece, and we could live for the day for a family of 3.
Yes, canned meats also they're very less expensive compared to buying a pound of pork or a pound of beef. However, they are less unhealthy compared to having a portion of chicken or a portion of beef or pork.
They're less or more?
they're less healthy.
They're less healthy.
Less healthy.
They have a lot of salt.
They have a lot of salt, and then everything canned is more processed as well. However, if you are someone that can only consume canned products because of time and because you'd want to budget, you might want to try to do some days tuna and not to have only luncheon meat every day. Okay, so you might want to compromise a little bit so as to go a little bit more healthy and not do the lunch and meat too often.
All right, I really want people to take away information that they can put into practice today. So let's say it's breakfast time. It is breakfast time at home.
Yeah,
Well,
it is.
some people may have already left home. But what can I have at breakfast at home that I can buy at the grocery store that is healthy for me, maybe for my kids too, versus buying meat pies or tacos?
The easiest thing to do is you can do hard-boiled eggs. Okay, you can keep these in the refrigerator, and you can prepare them from the day before to have early in the morning. You can choose to toast some bread and just grab a fruit. Okay, you don't necessarily have to sit down and have a big complete breakfast that includes waffles and all of that. Okay, you can have a glass of skim milk. Okay, in the morning. So we'd
Milk, not almond milk.
You can do almond milk, but almond milk is a little bit over the budget for most. Okay, so the other second choice would be skim milk.
Okay.
So you'd want to have your breakfast include the skim milk, a fruit, a light protein, and a source of carbs. Okay, so all of these would want to have in the breakfast.
So that would be a basic breakfast. What about, the kids, they love cereal. Can I give them cereal? Is that a better option than giving them $2 to buy tacos?
Yeah, cereal is okay, but we'd still want to accompany it with at least a source of protein. Okay. Because having cereal and milk is basically only carbs in the morning. And then by 10 o'clock, they will be very hungry and would want to have something else. Okay, and especially children. Okay, we find that we spend a lot of money in junk food, especially children. So if we can save all of that money from the junk food to buy more healthier foods, that would give you a plus as well as to what to eat.
But the type of cereal is important, right?
Yes.
I mean, naturally, they want the sweet ones. Any alternatives that you would suggest?
Well, they can use the regular cereal with at least some raisins.
The plain corn
plain
cereal.
corn cereal. For kids, we can give them the one with raisins so as to have a little bit of sugar, but for adults that want to lose weight, we'd want to choose the plain cereal, the one that's 100% whole grain.
Do you give kids skim milk or whole milk?
Normally, kids, we'd want to start them on skim milk.
Okay.
I had a conversation over the weekend and the individual said, eliminate milk from your diet. Don't even think about it. You're already a grown adult. You don't need it. You don't see adult animals drinking milk, and we should follow life with them. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, actually, he's right. We don't really need to have milk. But if you want to have a healthier option, instead of having a coffee full of sugar or a tea full of sugar or a soda, you may want to have milk. But as adults, we don't really need to have milk. But for children, we try to push them to have at least one glass for the day.
Now, if you don't have milk, many people do it for a source of calcium. Where will you get your calcium if you're not having milk? And women especially, and I have to say that, women need to get as much calcium as possible before they hit menopause.
We get most of the calcium intake from green vegetables, also from nuts and from seeds. Okay, peanuts, cashews, almonds, and all other sources.
Oh, you get calcium from nuts?
Yes.
Okay, so that was breakfast options. Boiled egg, toast, fruit, and maybe a glass of skim milk. Kids can have cereal with skim milk, but less sugar.
Less sugar.
Yeah. So if you get a plain cereal, add a little bit of raisins. So that eliminates already a cost there, because the cereal will last a lot longer.
A lot longer than 2 meat pies or something
Yeah.
that we buy.
Yeah. So let's talk about that mid-morning snack. Now, many people are trying to cut down on snacks because you just feel like you're getting in excess calories you don't need. But you're saying it is important to have a snack. Why is that?
Yes, the snack is very important because it allows you to not overeat on the following meal.
Okay.
Normally, the morning snack is not as important as the evening snack. If you're a person that wants to lose weight, maybe you can only have the evening snack, but the morning one, not necessary. But for children, we'd want them to have that morning snack.
So they do get a break time where either they're given money or they take a snack. And if they take a snack, it's probably a bag of chips, I'd guess, or cookies.
Yeah.
What option can parents give them as their morning snack?
Okay. The healthiest snacks that they can have in the morning is that they can take with them a portion of fruit. It could be an apple, a banana, a peeled orange, and then you can give them cookies. Okay, but it's better that you go and you purchase a cookie that has less sugar and has more fiber in them. And then you can buy a large pack and then you can divide that pack throughout the week. You don't necessarily need to give them that whole pack in one snack. So that would be another healthier option.
I like that because, I mean, when I think of kids not growing up on junk food, it seems kind of sad. But I know we need to cut down on it. So we can give them high fiber. Are there any recommendations as to cookies that are very popular in Belize that maybe would be a good option for the kids within good portions?
Well, the only ones that don't have as much sugar that are common in the stores are like the Marias, the digestive. There's one called Cubanas that are wheat as well, or any other plain crackers.
Okay.
But the ones that have chocolate, marshmallows, and other stuff, those have a lot of sugar.
All right, so that covers mid-morning snacks.
Mid-morning.
Adults, you don't need one. Lunch. Now, your recommendation is to prepare lunch versus buying lunch, right? So what's the average that people spend on lunch in Belize?
$7 to
From
$10.
$5 if you get a fried
Five.
chicken to $7.
$7 if you get rice and beans.
And you can push to 10 if you want to get a nice piece of meat, your rice and bean stall, right? Okay, so we're looking at $5 to $10 as our range. What can we get or prepare that will taste good for our Belizean palate, prepare at home and take to work?
Well, at home we can prepare our own Belizean meals. We can do our own rice and beans. We can still have our own stewed chicken. It's just preparing it at home, because when you do a large portion at home, you can stretch that for the whole week. Let's say if today you did just plain grilled chicken, okay, well tomorrow I might include that same chicken but in a soup, or the next day I might add some tomato sauce over it, but you're still having the same pack of chicken you bought from the week before. So you can do your portion of protein, and we said that, well, if you can't buy the chicken for that week, you can substitute that chicken for beans. You can have your serving of rice or corn tortillas, and then you'd want to have a larger serving of vegetables.
So what you want is like half your plate vegetables.
Half your plate vegetables.
And then the other half split with carbs
With
and
carbs
protein.
and protein.
Now, I have a question for you. Let's let's tackle the chicken debate, right? So we all love chicken. Breast or leg?
The best part is the breast.
What?
People
Why?
say that it's too much meat, but when we look at the breast, it has less fat content than the bone. So we think that we're eating the bone and we're not getting any calories from it because it's just bone, but it's more fat. So the breast is actually the best part of it.
So the part with a bigger piece of meat is healthier for you. And is it a drastic difference in calories?
Yes.
Like what? Like if I have a
way
leg
too
and
much.
thigh, because we never just
I
have
love
one.
leg and thigh.
We have leg and thigh
And thigh.
versus one piece of
One
breast.
piece of breast.
What's my the difference in calories?
Okay. A whole leg and thigh would have maybe 170 calories, not cooked, not adding any oil to it. Now,
So cooked, you're looking
portion of
250.
breast would have maybe 80 to 90
That's half.
without
Wow.
skin.
Without skin.
Yeah.
I'm a leg guy. I
Whoa.
leg and
All right, so that debate is settled. All right, unskinned breast. That's what you should go for. So we're talking preparing that at home. Now, I see some of the samples that we have here, and they don't have rice, you know, and I think we struggle in understanding, should we have rice, should we not have rice, you know, how much rice? How do we self-regulate ourselves if maybe I just really enjoy having rice with my meals? How do I know how to have it, how much to have?
Rice, like we mentioned earlier, is the same thing as having corn tortillas, is the same thing as having potatoes, is the same thing as having flour. Okay, there's nothing wrong with eating rice, it's just the serving. Normally the serving would be 1 cup, which would be 2 regular pot spoons of rice. So that is the serving recommended, not the whole half that they would normally serve us
I know.
on the
Yeah.
plate.
Cool.
Yeah, you get like a mound
Yes.
of rice.
Half of that is okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any other options? You spoke of getting other meats as well. Some people don't like chicken. That's a healthier option. If you're not going to eat chicken, what's a healthier option?
A healthier option would be tuna. And then if you like,
Canned tuna?
you can do canned tuna. Fresh tuna is
Yeah,
also
I mean,
better.
yeah.
Fish is also a healthier serving of protein. If
A
you
fried
can
whole fish?
get fish. No, a steamed fish, a baked fish should be a good.
Okay.
Some folks might say a fried whole fish in coconut oil would be better. Do you think?
No, the best way to prepare fish would be you steam or you bake, or you could grill a little bit.
And pork or beef, what do we do with those?
Okay, those normally we'd want to limit those to 1 time a week. Let's say if this week you had beef, you don't want to have beef or pork until the following week. So you'd want to stick to more healthier proteins throughout the week.
Another thing that we mentioned here is that it's best to have half the plate with veggies, and then we share the others there. But some folks might say, I really would want to do it. I want to try it, but for some reason or the other, I don't like the taste of the veggies. But I'd like, what can we do to enhance the taste of veggies that would be on the healthier lifestyle?
Okay. Actually, the best way to marinate the vegetables if you do your own dressing. Okay, you can do a dressing with olive oil and lime and maybe a little bit of parsley or black pepper just to have it a little bit of flavor.
Yeah.
And then you just easily pour it over the vegetables.
Should enhance the flavor there.
To
Yeah.
enhance the flavor
No
of the
ketchup.
vegetables. No ketchup, no salad
See.
dressings.
And when you say vegetables, because I hear all these things, right? So, you know, potato salad
Yes.
is
Yeah.
not
Potato
salad.
salad is not a
Coleslaw.
salad.
Coleslaw.
Coleslaw is not a salad.
Okay. So we're talking pure veg.
Pure veg.
salad.
Macaroni salad. I mean, we gotta ask because this is what people,
this is
you know,
what
we
normal
gotta
diet is.
demystify some of these things.
Yeah.
So we're looking at greens, we're looking at like lettuce, tomato, onion, sweet pepper.
peppers.
These are more accessible
More
vegetables for
accessible.
people.
And
Anything,
even
cucumbers.
iceberg lettuce, yes.
Iceberg is good?
We normally tend to want to put potatoes on the salad side as well, but we have to be careful with that because potato is not a vegetable, it's a carb. Okay, so we need to be careful when including the potatoes.
Yeah,
Okay.
potato is not a vegetable. Good.
All right.
Let me.
Can I ask one thing?
sure.
When I start my meal, what's your recommendation? Do I eat all my vegetables first? Do I go to protein next? What's
Yes.
it?
Actually, the first thing that we need to eat is the vegetables because
Yeah.
we tend to eat the protein first, and then if we are still hungry, then we will have the vegetables. But it should be the other way around. Okay, you want to have the vegetables, then the protein, then the carbs.
Yeah. Because the vegetables fill you up first, so maybe you won't even want the carbs by the end.
You know, I don't want to knock any shopper, but I've got to ask this because some folks might say a healthy choice for them is actually chop suey. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Normally, the chop suey and the canned noodles, those are very salty and are very processed. So we
Yeah.
want to be careful with having those.
Soy
Yes,
sauce
yes.
has a lot of
Soy
salt.
sauce is very salty.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And we should be cutting down on salt. Yeah. Okay. So we went through lunch. And we
Yes.
hope you're satisfied with your lunch recommendations. We did say you can make rice and beans. What about a sandwich? Like
Yeah.
I love sandwiches. What can somebody have if they want to prepare that at home, whether for the kids, for themselves?
Yes, sandwiches, they're okay even at nighttime
Yeah.
or in the morning.
Yeah.
You can do chicken sandwich, egg sandwiches, tuna sandwiches, different sources of
Bologna, luncheon meat. How are these faring off in this conversation?
Well, those like we said, we'd want to still limit
Okay.
those. Okay. But
All
we
right.
can have sandwiches even at lunch, and then you can still have your serving of vegetables.
Okay, so you're looking at wheat bread. Wheat bread. You can use mayonnaise and everything else on it too.
Yes, to a minimum
Yeah,
amount.
okay.
Actually, but mustard is free. Mustard has no calories,
As
no
much
salt.
mustard as you
mustard
want.
is okay.
I love mustard.
Wow.
That's great. And, turkey is more accessible now, too. Turkey is a good meat for sandwiches.
Turkey is okay as well.
Okay, and get some vegetables in
Some
there.
vegetables.
All right, so we're
On a budget.
safe with sandwiches.
On a budget.
All right, let's move to that mid-afternoon snack. And I know we have one of our cameramen here asking the question, what about peanuts? What about peanuts?
Actually, peanuts is more recommended in the evening snack, especially for adults. However, the serving of peanuts is very important because sometimes we eat the whole bag.
Whole bag.
Okay, and the serving of peanuts should normally be what fits in the palm of your hand.
Shelled or unshelled?
Unshelled.
Okay, unshelled.
Unshelled.
There's a difference. I gotta be very clear.
There's a good one.
Yeah, it could be unshelled.
Any form of nuts?
Preferably non-salted nuts.
Non-salted.
Those are better options.
Yeah.
And then another evening snack, you can do fruits. Okay, for kids, you could even give them a larger serving of fruits than the morning snack.
Okay.
If you like yogurt, you can go and have yogurt as well. You can do granola bars. Even popcorn is a healthy snack.
Popcorn is good?
But not
is okay, but not the
movie
extra butter.
extra
popcorn.
butter.
You
Sprinkle
want to
salt.
get the natural.
Sprinkle of salt.
A little sprinkle of salt.
I love popcorn in the afternoon.
So what we're saying is nuts are good, but you do have to regulate. You have to control how much you're having.
Exactly.
And here's the thing, we're lucky because they do sell like the small little bags of peanuts, the small little bags. If you got extra cash, small little bags of cashew.
Cashew nut.
And the pepitos.
Yes.
Is that
Yeah,
good?
those are healthy snacks
Unsalted.
as well. Unsalted, yes.
Okay.
We always want to go for the unsalted ones. And actually, the canned ones are the ones that cost more too. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, cool.
All right,
There
so
you have
we're
it.
good with nuts at mid-afternoon.
mid-afternoon.
All right. What else do people have mid-afternoon?
In terms of a snack
Yeah,
or
a snack.
normally, well, I can't say pastry because that's out.
That is out, yeah.
Definitely out.
And
Fruit
sometimes
is
we
good.
tend to go more for pastries, and if we realize a slice of cake is the same thing as buying a plate of food.
Oh,
so if
wow.
we cut that out, we save a whole
One
plate of-
slice of cake is a whole plate of food.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a
Guilty
sweet
party.
tooth.
Join the club.
And I
do
need
too.
to have something, I'm just one of those people with a mental barrier that a meal is finished with sweet.
With sweet.
What's a good option? If I did everything right, I had a small portion of carbs, half my plate of vegetables, what can I have as a sweet? So I feel satisfied. I think the challenge for people in eating healthy is that we feel deprived, and nobody wants to feel that way. So how do I get my sweet in and know that I'm not wrecking everything I'm working on for the rest of the day?
Okay. Well, immediately after lunch, normally what can easily cut off that sugar craving would be to have an orange. Okay, or you can have a little bag of raisins. Okay, a little box of raisins.
Okay.
If you like dates, dates are a good other option for,
No ice
for
cream.
sugar. Ice cream, maybe you might want to give
One scoop.
yourself a scoop once a week. So as a price for being able to
Oh my
to
God.
follow your diet accordingly.
Okay,
But you don't want to make it a regular habit.
All right, so let's move on to dinner.
Dinner.
Dinner, as we were mentioning, is the smaller meal of the day.
Okay.
There you might want to include just protein and vegetables. And if you're not looking to lose weight, then you might just want to have a lighter portion of carbs. For example, plain crackers, again, the wheat bread, some corn tortillas. But at night, you'd want to stay away from rice, the pastas, and the potatoes, which are very heavy starches that we would sometimes
So
have
I
at
want
night.
to lose weight. That's the one meal I can say I'm cutting carbs.
That's
right?
the one meal.
But if I'm trying to maintain, if I'm just trying to stay where I am, I can have a little bit of carbs, but preferably
But
not rice or pasta.
Not rice or pasta.
Okay, good. And what time do we have dinner?
Okay.
What is this 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock cut off?
Yes.
1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours before
4
dinner
hours.
have to do with being healthy?
Well, it depends on the time you go to sleep. For
Okay.
example, if you sleep at 10, you might want to eat no later than 8. If you sleep at 9, no later than 7. Because if you eat at 5 and you sleep at 10, it's more than likely you'd want to eat something at 8 or 9 in the night. So at least 2 hours before you go.
Some folks might say, you know what, I'll just have some cereal before I go to bed. Is this a good option?
No, because then we're having most carbs
That's
at
carbs.
night. Okay.
You
So
hear it?
if we do
All right.
cereal, oatmeal, preferably in the morning, and
Okay.
then at night, just something lighter.
Okay. And let's tackle the drinks. And I don't mean alcoholic yet. That's a whole other conversation. So, you know, I'm doing all of this meal planning, and I go to work and I throw in the creamer and the sugar in my coffee. And I have 3 cups, 2 cups maybe. I don't know if everybody has 3. For lunch, I'm gonna have a fresh squeezed orange juice that I bought from the store that has sugar. And then maybe in the afternoon, I have some more coffee with sugar.
Yes, that's a lot of sugar for the entire day.
Yeah.
If you're gonna use sugar as beverage or as food, the recommendations is 1 to 2 teaspoons for the day. So we'd want to cut
And
down
that includes
on
artificial
sugar.
sweeteners?
That includes artificial sweeteners.
So it's not that you have an unlimited license with stevia, for example. You still have
You
to
still
maintain.
have to. Actually, brown sugar is a lot better than artificial sweeteners, and
Yeah.
also better than white. So if you want to use a sweetener, the best thing is the brown sugar, or you could do a natural honey. Okay,
Oh,
those
okay, I
are
was just
better,
about to ask.
better sweeteners than stevias or Splendas. Okay, because when we start using those artificial sweeteners, we'd want to use them on everything just because they have no calories, and then we think that we're cutting down on
Yeah.
sugar, but we really aren't.
Okay, so I use my 1 teaspoon. What about having a soft drink for every lunchtime meal?
Yes, actually, 1 serving of Coke has 16 teaspoons of sugar. So if we were to measure that, it's like a tall glass of
16.
sugar. It tells you in grams, so we would say,
Yeah.
okay, it's just grams.
Just
But
grams.
when we were convert grams to
teaspoon.
teaspoons, it has up to 16 teaspoons of sugar.
Okay, so I go with the light version, the Coke Light.
Okay. Well, that doesn't have natural sugars, but the only problem with the light is that those have the artificial sweeteners. Okay, and then the artificial sweeteners, they make you crave more sugar. Okay, and then they tend to make you eat more
It's
because
an
they're
evil
artificial
product.
Yeah.
Strategic, you're
You
saying.
use the fake sugar and it makes you want
Make you
more
want more
sugar. All right. So, you know, and people have a hard time giving up soda in general. I mean, what do you recommend? Is it, can I, like how I have my raisins or my dates after my meal, can I have half of soda, or do I dilute it with water? What do I do?
Yes, when you want to cut off something completely, you need to do it progressively.
Yeah.
If you used to have 3 sodas a day, cut down to 2 sodas for maybe 2 or 3 days. Then you want to cut down to 1. Then eventually you will find out that you really do not need to have that soda every day. You can dilute it. However, if you're going to dilute a tall bottle in water, you're not really doing anything. You want to dilute half of that.
Okay.
And then eventually you will find that you won't be consuming that soda.
Okay. Seems doable. Now, there are some and you know this more than anybody else, because you get people who, they have no choice. They have to change their diet. Psychologically, what are some recommendations to people to get themselves committed to changing their lifestyle?
You need to choose a goal, especially if it's to lose weight. A lot of people start with, I want to lose 50 pounds, but you don't want to look at it as 50 pounds because that's far away from now. You
How long
want
should it take to lose 50 pounds?
You'd want to say, normally the recommendation is 2 pounds a week, so that would be over 100 days.
Yeah.
Right? So what you want is to go more as to how much you want to weigh in 2 weeks' time or in a month time, and not look at the long-term goals. So you want to put short-term goals.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you go achieving them slowly. And the more weight you lose, that will encourage you to continue losing more. Because if from here to 1 week you didn't lose any weight, that will make you a little bit discouraged. So you'd want to do short-term goals instead of long-term.
I just have 2 more questions, if I can get them in very quickly. 1, the gluten-free fad. I hear everybody talking about how they can't eat gluten. And from what I know, you have to have a specific disease to not need to eat gluten.
Yes, you don't have to cut out gluten unless you're gluten intolerant or
Yeah.
have celiac disease.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why you'd want to cut out gluten.
So there's nothing unhealthy about gluten.
There's nothing unhealthy.
All right. And the last one. I heard you say once before, and I really think it's so important, that it's hard on your body to do major changes all at once. Like, I'm going to wipe my slate clean today and do everything different tomorrow. Wake up early, exercise in the morning, exercise in the evening, change every meal, stop sodas, and stop. Why is it that you don't recommend this to people?
Okay, because the more goals that you push yourself to do, the easier it is to fall off of them. You always want to start with making small changes. Let's say I will change my breakfast first, or you choose any type of the day that you find that you overeat or you overload on the calories, and that's the one you want to focus on. And then eventually you will start to cut down on them slowly. But if you find that you're a person that you can exercise and you can change your meals because you're very determined, then you can go ahead and do it. But if you find that you're a person that has tried it more than 5 times, then you might want to consider starting slowly after.
I like that. Start with one meal. Like, just let's start having a healthier dinner every day, and then progress on to the rest. Because many people have tried many diets and failed.
But you know what that would do as
repeatedly.
well? That would actually keep you within the budget.
Yeah. All right. Doris, thank you so much for coming in. It's information that we absolutely need, even though sometimes we don't want to hear it, but absolutely doable as well.
Okay.
Thank you
too.
We're going to go ahead now and take a break. And when we come back, a very healthy conversation, reminders for parents as to how to protect their children from predators. Stay tuned.